Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. Today is Ekadasi, and it is the practice here that on Ekadasi we read from my book, I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu Story. So we continue from where we left off, which is page 314. The chapter, October 1973 to January 1977, Facing Challenges. With the Krishna Balaram temple open in Vrindavan, Prabhupada sent Saurabh to take charge of the construction in Juhu, which was accelerating. Although Saurabh expressed a desire to remain in Vrindavan and manage, Prabhupada wanted him to come to Bombay. Saurabh set up his construction office in our flat on the ground floor of the D block, which we had gotten in exchange for Prabhupada's upstairs flat in the same building, after we had constructed an entire floor for him on the F block. Nistrigunya became his site supervisor and Ekanath his treasurer. Although Saurabh did the main design for the complex, we needed a local architect to submit the plans and get them approved. We decided on Premnath, who was dynamic and modern and had done some high-profile projects. Saurabh sent the proposed design for the temple complex to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada approved it. Early one morning, Saurabh invited Jagat Purush to his office to see the design, which he had just received back. Murtidas, who served in the construction office, was also there. Jagat Purush studied the plan, noting that Prabhupada had signed it. "Where is the theater?" he asked. He hadn't been involved in any of the planning discussions, so he hadn't really considered whether there would be a theater or not. But it suddenly dawned on him that there should be. "There is no theater," he was told. "That's not part of the plan." "Why not? Don't we need one for cultural performances?" It was really never considered, and now it's too late. Srila Prabhupada has already signed off. "But I think it's important. There should be a theater." Saurabh and Murti agreed, but insisted that it was too late. All the architecture had been carefully planned out, and there was no space for it. Then Jagat Purush pointed to the design and said, "Why not just take this and move it over to this side and put this up here and move this over there and put the theater here?" They examined the design and looked at each other and looked at the design and again and then looked at him and together said, "That might be possible." So they redrew the design to accommodate a theater and sent the new design to Prabhupada, and he approved it. As Jagat Purush later recalled, quote, "It was such an exciting moment for me because I felt like I was being Krishna's instrument. I had no architectural background, but I was moved, I believe, by the Super Soul. And they saw that it was possible, and that's how the theater became part of the design." End quote. I continue to inform Prabhupada of our progress. On May 19th, I wrote him, "Regarding construction, the excavation for the 2 towers has been completed, and today at the office of Premnath, the architect, we will finalize the tenders. After careful inquiry about what sort of contractors to use for this building, we came to the conclusion that labor contract is the best. In Bombay, there is great difficulty with labor because many are leaving for neighboring countries, where they are offered very high rates. Therefore, to take the responsibility ourselves for labor will be very troublesome. Also, today at the meeting with Premnath, we will discuss the master plan and all other programs we are planning for Hare Krishna land in the future. In stock, we have 2,000 bags of cement and 10 tons of steel, sufficient to lay the foundation for the 2 towers. We are trying to complete the foundation up to plinth level before the heavy rainfall. We will keep close contact with you regarding the progress of the construction." Then, unexpectedly, we got a notice from the municipality dated May 17th, addressed to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, stating that the construction was being unlawfully carried on under your direction, and concluding, quote, "Now I do hereby give you notice that if, after the expiration of 24 hours from the service hereof upon you, it is found that the erection of the said building, execution of the said work, is still being carried on under your direction by you, I shall, pursuant to Section 34A of the said Act, and an exercise of the powers conferred on me, as aforesaid, direct you to be removed from the said premises by a police officer." Both the order to stop the work and the aggressive tone and threats were shocking. We investigated why the permission had been revoked and discovered that the police commissioner had issued instructions to the municipality that the permission should be canceled on account of ISKCON's being a threat to the national security. Although the police were not directly concerned with the building of the guest house, their NOC was required only for the temple. The police commissioner had written a letter to the municipal corporation stating that the whole project should be stopped. We were trying to assess who was the enemy and what was their strength. We concluded that actually we had a stronger standing with the municipality than with the police. Even though Matre was opposing us at every step, there was a consensus among the officers in the municipality that he was just harassing us. At first they believed him because they didn't know us. But as they came to know us better, they realized that we were good and genuine, and that Matre was just playing his usual tricks. The municipal officers were not against us, but they themselves were subject to harassment by Matre. So they couldn't go out of their way to help us, though within themselves they may have been sympathetic. And they wanted everything they did for us to be approved by the commissioner. The plans for the guest house had been sanctioned by the municipal commissioner, but again the construction was stopped by Matre through the police commissioner. Ultimately, as we discovered later, through the Home Secretary of the government of Maharashtra. So Matre was doing his best to stop us, and we wondered two things. Why was he so determined to oppose us? And how could a small fry politician like him have so much influence that he could stop our progress? Though we ourselves were working through many channels with much influence. After Matre got our permission revoked, I asked Prabhupada why the man was opposing us so staunchly. And he had answered that because Matre had been defeated when he had wanted to get the land, and had been opposing us then, and in the end we had gotten the land, he bore a deep grudge against us and was always remembering his defeat and trying to take revenge. New allies. Gopal Krishna was expert at political and diplomatic dealings. And I was impressed by how he systematically pursued the matter of the permission from one politician to another, one officer to another, and back again. Quote, the president of the ruling Maharashtra Congress Party, P.K. Sawant, had been the caretaker chief minister of Maharashtra for some time. Was quite pious, quite nice, he later recalled. And V.S. Page, the Speaker of the Legislative Council, the upper house in the Maharaja legislature, was also pious and a Sanskrit scholar. So practically every day we would go to these politicians and tell them we were not getting the NOC. We would go to the police commissioner and he would say, I have no objection. Go to the municipal commissioner. We would go to the municipal commissioner, and he would say, I have no problem. Go to that man. So we were going all day from morning to night, from A to B, B to C, C to D. Because I knew most of the important people in Bombay, I was able to inform Gopal Krishna about them. And we went together meeting with people we thought could help, especially the permission for the temple. People I knew or knew people I knew. I would introduce him, and in most cases, especially in dealing with the politicians, he would speak more than I would, explaining our situation and trying to enlist their help. We were afraid to approach the chief minister, S.B. Chavan, though, because he was the highest authority and we didn't know about him, how he would respond. One day we met a newspaper reporter who had interviewed Chavan in some other connection, and he had mentioned us to him. Matre was getting bad articles about us published in the newspapers. So the reporter asked the chief minister what he thought about the devotees. Although we didn't know the chief minister, he had said, quote, "I think they are very good people. I don't believe any of the bad things being published about them in the press." End quote. Feeling encouraged, we went to Sachivalaya to meet the chief minister's personal secretary to try to get an appointment. While we were waiting in the outer room, Gopal Krishna got the idea to just go into the chief minister's office. Usually the doors were guarded, but somehow there was no one around. So he said, "Let's just go in." Usually when we entered an important person's chamber without permission, the person would press a button and call for his secretary to escort us out. Or sometimes just shout, "Get out." So we weren't sure what to expect. But when we opened the door and entered, Chavan stood up and received us as holy men, with honor and respect. He offered us seats and asked us how he could serve us. When we explained our predicament, he said, "I will help. I will solve the problem. Don't worry." The Indian government has a two-tier system. There are the ministers who are political figures, and the secretaries who are administrative figures who remain in position regardless of any change of ministers. For every minister there is a corresponding secretary, the administrator in charge of the department. The Home Department, which is considered the most important and which includes the police, is handled on the state level by the chief minister. Since he deals with both general administration and home affairs, he had both the chief secretary and the home secretary directly under him. In the central government, although there is a home minister as well as a prime minister, at times the prime minister himself or herself takes up the home portfolio because it includes internal security and is so important. On the state level, there is no home minister, but there is a home secretary. So the most powerful position in the state is the chief minister, and beneath him is the chief secretary, and then the home secretary. It turned out that Matre had been meeting with the home secretary and feeding him false stories about us. And the police commissioner was under the home secretary, which is why he had kept refusing the NOC. Chavan, who was impartial, could see that we were being harassed. He called for the urban affairs minister, who oversaw the municipality, and for the home secretary, who oversaw the police, and addressed them in Hindi. Who is actually at fault, he asked. Are they the guilty ones, Chavan asked, or are you? It turns out that the home secretary, though in a high echelon, being the top administrative figure in the home department, was close to Matre, and Matre had systematically been brainwashing him against ISKCON. The home secretary didn't know us personally, but considering that he was a close friend of Matre's, I doubted that he had been very pious or religious to begin with. When Matre kept impressing upon him how bad we were, he had believed him and just regurgitated the bad things he'd been fed. All along, it had been he who had been stopping the permission from the police. The governor was actually more of a figurehead. The powerful person was the chief minister. Had the difficulty been only the police department, the governor of Maharashtra might have been able to do something. But because the opposition was coming from the Home Secretary, the highest authority other than the chief minister himself, practically nothing could be done. And nothing had been done until the chief minister himself took personal interest. Chavan put his foot down and stopped the whole thing, and the urban affairs minister and the home secretary issued instructions that the permission for the guest house should be reinstated and that the NOC for the temple should be granted. On May 26, 4 days after our meeting with Chavan, Gopal Krishna wrote Prabhupada about what had transpired. Prabhupada replied, quote, "It is a great credit that you have met with the chief minister, and now he will give us all help. Why did you not apply immediately for the NOC? You should do it immediately if you have not done so already." The next day, I met the acting municipal commissioner of Bombay. And the day after that, upon his request, I submitted a letter to him summarizing our situation and the history of Matre's harassment. See Appendix B. We also, on Chavan's request, gave him a letter describing our mission and the history of our difficulties and officially applying for the NOC from the police. See Appendix C. The attitude of the government offices throughout the entire city changed overnight. Word quickly spread that the chief minister liked us and wasn't tolerating any more nonsense. Up until then, no one had been helping us. But when they heard that we had the chief minister's support, people became friendly, cordial, and cooperative. And wherever we went, without difficulty, we got whatever was due. On June 13th, the legal department of the municipality informed us that the earlier notice dated May 17th had been withdrawn and that we could proceed with the construction, quote, as for the plans already approved, end quote. We were jubilant. It was a huge defeat for Matre. Not only was his revoking of our permission overturned, but we were poised to get the full plans passed, including for the temple. On July 3rd, I phoned Srila Prabhupada in the U.S. to inform him of the developments, that we had gotten the NOC, and he spoke of it on his walk the next day. Quote, Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada speaking. We have got the no objection certificate. Tamal Krishna, really? For the temple or the Prabhupada? Temple, Bombay. Tamal Krishna, really? Prabhupada, the chief minister has sanctioned. He is a very nice man. Tamal Krishna, Nayak? Prabhupada, not Nayak. Nayak was a rogue. Tamal Krishna, a new one. Prabhupada, yes, Chavan. Tamal Krishna, so now we can build 2 towers and a temple. Prabhupada, now bring money. Tamal Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, what is the plan? To send money or books? Prabhupada, money. Later the same morning, Prabhupada wrote me, I have received your report via telephone, and it is very good news that you have received the NOC for the construction of the temple. So now you begin the work, and money will come for you by the grace of God. Don't worry. Just finish the buildings as soon as possible, and somehow or other money will come. In Bombay, you collect as much as you can, and the balance money will be sent, rest assured. I am instructing Rameshwar to send Guru Kripa's collection to Bombay. So you just finish the buildings as soon as possible. You must also keep proper account. Not a single farthing should be wasted. I will see the accounts personally when I return to Bombay. Those words, quote, when I return to Bombay, end quote, were music to my ears. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple ki jai. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much. Happy Ekadasi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.